And hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk. Happy Monday, or happy Tuesday, rather. It's been a couple of days. We hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend with your families and your friends and the cookouts. And again, want to give our sincere gratitude for everyone who served in the military, past, present, and those who are planning to serve. Do want to say thank you. We want to say welcome. We got a lot to talk about today, and I'm currently waiting on my partner Jesus to join us. But a lot of stuff's happened over the weekend. Of course, we got NBA action, and we're going to get ready to do that. And I believe we have a guest host coming in. Let me see if I can get him on the air. Okay, let's see if that works.
Yo, what's up, bro? How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Good.
Good. How was your Memorial Day weekend?
It's all right. How about yourself?
Oh, good. Got time spent with family, cookouts, all that stuff went well.
Let's get it. Another day, another podcast. Let's get it.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So let's go ahead and get started and let's talk about one of the top stories that's happened so far. Well, as many of you know, yesterday, we lost a legend, NBA great sportscaster Bill Walton died yesterday at the age of 71. I was very shocked to hear that because, Bill Watson's been one of those greats. But let me ask you, what was your first take, or what was your reaction to when you heard about that?
Yeah, just sad news for baseball fans. Sorry about that. The NBA community and the fans. Bill Watson was known as a great basketball player, and not just that, but a great analyst as well behind the desk. Very unfortunate news. As many know, he had cancer, which he passed yesterday, and a lot of mixed emotions. How about yourself? Did you know him Did you ever see him play basketball, or did you know him? Did you watch some of his analysis behind the desk?
Well, for me, I remember Bill Watson, the announcer. I remember his time with the Clippers, with Ralph Lawler. I remember when he was with the NBA on NBC, and then when they lost the contract and ABC bought it, he went over to the NBA on the ESPN. The one thing I always remember with with Bill Watson was Shaq. Every time Shaq dunked it, I remember him always saying, "Throw it down, big man, throw it down."
Yeah, man, he was known for a lot of stuff like that, but in a good way. But sad news. To start off the show.
Yeah, he's always going to be remembered as a legend, playing in the era of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. But many people may know Bill Walton as the great basketball player. But many of us that was born in the later 80s, to the 90s, know him as a great sportscaster. But that's one of his famous catchphrases, was, throw it down, big man, throw it down.
Yeah, I remember watching a couple of his of him announcing a couple of games on NBA TV and ESPN Plus. He was a great announcer as well, sports broadcaster.
Yeah, we are gonna miss Bill Walton, but it was a sad thing that we heard yesterday that he had passed away. So it was it's a sad time, but again, I mean, I think he'll be remembered for his work in the broadcast and through the game. And again, Bill Walton dead at the age of 71. We want to extend our condolences to the family, especially his son, Luke Walton, who used to be a Laker, also won a championship here in LA with Kobe. But let's go ahead and stay on the topic of basketball. So the NBA Finals is nearby. The first part of the piece is actually complete. We have a sweep in the Eastern Conference Finals. Believe it or not, the Boston Celtics swept the Pacers in 4 games, and they're going to their first NBA Finals since 2010. They're trying to win their first title since 2008. Many of you know 2010 was the last time they made the finals, and the Lakers beat them in 7, that famous series. And tonight we have a matchup. I believe it's the Timberwolves and the Mavs, and I believe that one is the 3-0 as well. So I mean, hey, can we have a sweep here in the Western Conference?
Yeah, I want to go over that first game that we missed last night about that Celtics and Pacers series. Man, I had a feeling Celtics had that sweep, especially after Tyrese Halliburton was injured and he was announced out for the remainder of the season. So you got to give props to the Boston Celtics, which they kind of had it easy, but you still got to give them props in the playoffs because Jaylen Brown won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, in which I thought Tatum had it, but Jaylen Brown went off this series. You can't say no to that. Then you mentioned this series, today's game about Minnesota and Dallas. I could see that one going as a sweep too. Luka, Kyrie, that Dallas Mavericks team, they're ready. And pretty much 99.9999 of the world has the NBA Finals pretty much set, which is the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks. You think the Timberwolves have a potential to sweep, even though it never happened in NBA history, or at least win one game?
Well, if this happens tonight, this will be the first time in history that both conference finals end in sweeps. So you talk about you talk about history being on the line, but let's go back to the Celtics though. I mean, how surprised were you that this was a close game, knowing everything that's happened with Indiana with the injuries? Like how surprised was it that it was just a 3 point deficit that they lost by?
Yeah, that same thing happened in game two. I mean, game two when the Pacers were up by 20 at the half, and the Boston Celtics came back and won that game at Indiana. So it pretty much tells you I think they toyed with them a little bit because it was a back and forth. Yeah, game three, but Celtics had it the whole way through. Pacers didn't have enough bodies to stick and cover Tatum or Jaylen Brown. If not, the other people from Boston Celtics would step it up, like Derek White, who would average 15 to 20 points, Al Horford, who could average 10 or 15 points this series. Everybody contributed in a good way, now they're in the finals.
Yeah,
Getting
partner. Let me tell you, let me also bring this up too. Um, I think that was the turning point of the series when they came back down 20 and they won. That's just that's just brilliance right there. That shows how hard it is to win. And I said it before, you can't win coming back all the time, but they did it, and I think that was the turning point of the series, especially in home court, like you said. Now we look at the stats. I was very surprised how everything was so equal. They were shooting from the field the same, and the Pacers were actually shooting better. I mean, they shot 46% from the field. Boston shot 44. Indiana shot 34, almost 35 from the 3-point line. Boston 31. Free throw percentage was pretty much equal. The rebounds was a +3 on Indiana side. You look at the turnovers. Boston had 3 turnovers less. Points in the paints were pretty much equal. So, I mean, you look at the stats here, and it's still not enough to beat this one-seeded team. And, you may have a point. I'll agree with you on this. Maybe Boston was just toying with them. We go back all the way to game 1. Game 1 was an overtime game. That was the by 5 by Celtics. You go to game 2, Celtics beat them up by 16. Then they go to Indiana for game 3. That was a close game. And then here in game 4, close game. So, I mean, we don't know what team showed up, but I mean, does it show that Boston is the destined team to win this?
No, it's a hard one to predict. Well, we all know it's gonna be Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving versus Jaylen Brown and Tatum. The fun thing about this, Kyrie Irving is going back to Boston. So he played with Boston a couple years, and he ended up leaving Boston in bad terms. So I think there's gonna be a revenge game with Kyrie Irving this series, which I like. I'm gonna be stay tuned on every game possible.
Now, game 5 or game 4 actually is going to be at 5:30 on looks like on TNT. Um, and this could be their last broadcast of the season because ABC, because many of you know ABC is the home of the final. So once this series is over, ABC will take over. But you look at Dallas and Minnesota. Everyone figured Minnesota was going to take this one, but you look at the matchups or you look at the scores. The first 2 games, victory margin was a combined total of 6 because it was winners by 3 in the first 2. Actually, no, I take that back. The first 2 games, a combined victory by the margin of 4. Because the first one was a 3-point victory, second game was a 1-point victory, and then you go to game 3. Dallas ended up winning by 9 points. And Minnesota was winning at point because they won the first 2. They won the third quarter, but Dallas just put up 9 more points in the fourth quarter. I mean, does that show that no matter what deficit you face against this team, you and then also how difficult is it to stop Doncic? Doncic, because he had 33 points in that matchup.
Yeah, I think Timberwolves pretty much exhausted themselves in that Nuggets series. You know how it went to game 6, 7 ish, and going into the series, they were like you mentioned, game 1 was a little back and forth, but going down to the wire in that fourth quarter, Dallas always comes back mid third to fourth quarter to seal it shut, and they can't stop Luka. They can't stop him at all. If it's they gotta double team him at every position. If not, he's gonna pass the ball and other people gotta score. Like PJ Washington, who's been on a tear this playoffs, and you can't forget Kyrie Irving, who's been stepping up in these last couple of games, in which he started off slow in that last series versus the Thunder, which I think he's gonna bounce back. He's gonna go insane. But I think I could see Maverick shutting it down today at their home, which we'll see what happens in a couple hours.
Well, the tip off is set for 5 minutes from now. So we'll see how everyone in America is going to be watching because again, the Boston Celtics are waiting. Now, if this ends tonight, who's going to have the bigger advantage? Boston because they're getting rest, or Dallas because they're coming off a big win? Who do you think will have the advantage between those two?
I think the mindset for the Dallas Mavericks is to end it tonight Because if not, you're gonna have to wait pretty much or you're gonna have to play tomorrow as well. No, Thursday. Yeah, that's tough. I think yeah, I'm going with that. The Mavericks have to shut it down right now. If not, they're gonna have to play again on Thursday. If not Thursday, Saturday, which is gonna get more tiredness into the league. Even though the NBA Finals is like Thursday, June 6th, which will give them either way they're gonna get a couple days off, 3 max. Which even if this series goes to Game 7, they get 3 days rest. If this game goes to the series goes to 6 games, they'll get at least 5 days rest. I think they should be good. That little week and a half of rest break will give them enough time to rest mentally, physically, and a little bit of everything. Get all these injuries that are gonna start kicking in. Do you think somebody's gonna have an advantage? I don't. I think it's equal.
It's gonna be equal, like you said, because you look at the um you look at the days off they're gonna get. One's probably get more than the other, but the bottom line is they're gonna get rest days off. Um, and I think this Maverick team is very confident. I think they're playing at the high level of intensity right now. And let's see. I believe we have some reactions from Game 3 from Luka Doncic after the big win.
So like 20. Yeah, it's amazing. He's born for this situation. He's born for the clutch situations. So we just give the ball to him. Look, when Derek went out with the headache for that neck injury, it changed kind of complexity of y'all's defense at that point, especially when Gaffer got his third foul. Do you have any concerns about that going forward if he's not going to be able to play in Game 4? We have to have next man up mentality. Obviously, he's an amazing player. He helped us so much in these playoffs and in the regular season. Obviously, we're going to miss him if he can't play. But we got to have next man up mentality.
Yeah, to mention that too, we saw that too. They have an injury on the neck for his neck. And I haven't heard anything that he was going to be out or not. So, I mean, but I like his response though. Next man up.
For who? Like for Luka to be out?
In Game 3, I believe one of their teammates, I believe his name was Derek, left the game with a neck injury.
Oh, Derek White.
Yeah, Derek White got hurt.
Oh yeah.
He left with a neck injury, but
He should be fine.
so far nothing's been said if he was going to miss out or not.
Yeah, he should be fine. That extra week of rest, because Derek White's with the Boston Celtics. I think he should be fine. Because I thought you were talking about Luka, because every playoff game he's been questionable, but he's had his ankle, his shoulder, I think his neck as well. But no matter what, he's still gonna play through it. He's still young. He's a monster. People say he's the same height and size as LeBron. And you can imagine what LeBron does. But Luka does triple. It's insane. His athleticism.
Yeah, so it'll be it'll be interesting what's going to happen there. And I believe it was Derrick Jones Jr. that was injured in the last game. So far, there hasn't been nothing said that he was going to sit out tonight. So, I mean, we'll see. Possible game time decision, most likely, but we will have to see. Oh, and I'm sorry, I believe I mispronounced it. It's Derek Lively, not Derek. Derek Lively.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, if it's Derek Lively, he's a big piece for the Dallas Mavericks. But today, Maxi Kleber, who plays for the Dallas Mavericks, has been out since the first series, I think, versus the Clippers. I think he's coming back today, and he should be next man up, like Luka mentioned.
Yeah, it'll be a very interesting Game 4. But let's see how Minnesota will respond. I mean, do they have question is, do they have enough for one more round? at least maybe send it back to Minnesota and then try to send it back to Dallas. Or I mean, we talked about this with the Lakers in the first round. I mean, they won one game, but then they couldn't do anything else.
Yeah, no matter what, it's a tough situation for Timberwolves. They pretty much have to dig themselves out of a hole, which is pretty difficult once you're 3 games down, like 3 feet down. Then already, even though the finals is coming up, there's been a lot of trade rumors already starting to kick in, which is pretty, as we already know, everybody loves trade rumors and controversy. And I'll mention one of them. It'll be the Clippers are monitoring DeMar DeRozan if Paul George leaves the Clippers. And another one real quick is the 76ers they want to offer Jimmy Butler another contract after he left and he used to be with the 76ers. Then you talked about earlier cameras that you watched the Indy or the F1. I'm not sure which one. I always get confused with one or other.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a few minutes. I do want to make one more announcement with the NBA. So, TNT announced this week that the upcoming season, the 2024-2025 season, will be the final broadcast season for Turner Network Sports. Many of you may not know or were unaware that NBC has outbid TNT for the television rights. So the NBA will be returning to NBC for the first time in over 20 years. Not this season, but in the upcoming season, not in the 2025 season, the NBA on NBC will be making a return. Again, the NBA pregame show that we've grown to love for so many years. It's going to be in its final run, and to be honest, I'm very sad about that. I've been a huge fan of the pregame show for many years, even before Shaq got in, and since he got in there with him and Barkley, they just made the show so damn funny. I mean, they just did. I mean, anything you hear, anything you see, you just laugh because of the way they just communicate, so well.
Yeah, it's one of the best shows I've seen on pregame. After pregame, get some insight on the players' interviews, get a little fun and games. You can't forget always Shaq and Chuck, their battles. And yeah, it was a great entertainment show that brought in a lot of fans like me into that show, which I think had a lot of great years with TNT. But I think they'll find you, the NBC on NBA. I think they'll do a great job. I'm not sure they'll sign any of these guys back, but I doubt it. I've heard they want to sign or they'll sign for the right price.
That or they may just call it quits. I mean, Ernie Johnson's been in this for a long time. I mean, it would be just sucked just to see him at another station, but he's been doing this for a long time, and you wonder if he might just call it quits and retire, or because right now none of the analysts are kind of like saying nothing. They're kind of keeping it on the
Quiet.
low. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
on hush on it, but I mean it's still early, so I mean they're probably not gonna think about it till after. If tonight ends in the sweep, then this is the last game for the season because ABC is gonna take over the finals. So I
Yeah.
mean, maybe after tonight, they'll probably start thinking about it or start complimenting their future.
Yeah, for sure. I could see it would be. It sucks to see Ernie Johnson retire, but I could also see him doing his own show on a different platform. Now that we have all these different platforms so I could see it.
Yeah, it'll
I
be a
love it though.
shame.
They'll they'll be good, hopefully.
Yeah, so in the meantime, I'm gonna get you some score updates because there's a lot of things going on here in sports. Again, we know the game 4 is going to start soon. Meanwhile, in hockey, the Eastern Conference Finals, it's scoreless, just underway. 11:39 left, and that's between the Rangers and the Panthers. Rangers are leading 2-1, and then some WNBA action. Right now we got the Mercury taking on the Sun. Sun leading 54-37. 9:32 left in the third, and that one's on CBS Sports Network. Our Los Angeles Sparks are taking on the Fever. They're up by 5, 60-55, 9:36 left in the fourth. That game's currently airing on NBA TV.
On that one, that game was pretty much game of the day for the women's, and on NBA TV, like you mentioned, because of the rookie Cameron Brink is playing Caitlin Clark. Because you already know who's Caitlin Clark. Everybody
Yeah.
knows Caitlin Clark.
And let me ask you this: like, how surprised are you that the popularity has grown since she been? Because it looks to me that this sport is going
Yeah,
up because
it is.
she's gonna. I mean, I'll tell you right now. I'm gonna predict this. She's gonna take this sport to the next level.
Yeah, it's gonna bring a lot of women into sports or
Well,
sports
not just that.
broadcasting,
Let me
sports
give you a stat.
broadcasting, sports, and a little bit of everything.
Well, let me give you a stat. Let me give you a stat.
Hmm.
Okay, so last week they had a game at Crypto. Last Friday,
Oh
um,
yeah, that was a
they
good one.
yeah, and they had a sellout. Over 19,000 showed up to that game. That's more than what the Lakers averaged this season as a sellout. That means more people went to see the Sparks than the Lakers. How does that show? How does it show that the times are changing? That women's professional basketball is actually getting more popular.
I think it's great for. I think it's good. I think. Yeah, I think everybody pretty much seen what happened in the college, which now they're in the WNBA. Now they have their own private jets, private commercial jets. Now they have they're getting more pay, a little bit of everything. And it's that Caitlin Clark effect, and she's getting a lot of hate from different cultures, but I understand. But right now, how you mentioned that they're playing the Sparks, she's going off right now. She has about 18 points with pretty much they're all threes. But yeah, as popularity wise, it's growing, which is I think is good for the sports, but for the women's as well.
I mean, look, haters are gonna hate. I mean, that's just how it is. But I mean, like, if you're gonna hate because of her skills, that's one thing. But like hitting on her for other different reasons that has nothing to do with the game, I'm sorry, there's just no room for it. There's just not no room for that. It's like kind of like hating on LeBron James because of his, because of hating on him because they're hating not because of his athleticism, because of something else. I mean, to me, that's kind of like going out of bounds. You should never diss a player or an athlete based on anything except their skills. You don't like their skills, get on the court, go 1-on-1. Challenge them to a 3-point shootout, challenge them to a dunk contest. I don't care. But I mean, I draw the line with that, to be honest. I hear that too a lot, and it just, not gonna lie, it pisses me off. Because she worked hard in college. She earned the respect of everyone, especially during the NCAA tournament. And she's trying to earn that respect for her peers in the WNBA. I mean, isn't that enough to show that she wants to be respected? She wants to be cheered. She's going out there fulfilling her dreams. I mean, what else can you do?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. You couldn't have said anything better because it's all right. And I was gonna mention did you remember when I remember when the Spurs they hired the first woman assistant coach which was like a couple of years ago, and I think she was still coaching for the NBA as an assistant coach, but I don't think now I think she's a coach for a WNBA team. Becky, I think was her name, I think she was a great coach, assistant coach. Ever since that, I seen a little growth into the women's coaching. Now it's the players, the athletes. It's good though. As we all seen, we every day, well, pretty much every day there's pretty much a game, and we could see the clips that go viral of them. I'm seeing it more and more, pretty much.
Yeah, and then so yeah, I agree with you on that. I think the NBA, the WNBA is gonna go up there. I even have the NBA 2K4 game for Nintendo Switch, which by the way, it's available now. And they got the WNBA on there too.
Nice. The new one?
Yeah, the one with Kobe on it. They got the WNBA on there too. You can actually play it in the WNBA.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, 2K24. It's all available now on all systems and stuff. Just go out there and buy it. Before we go on, again, there's one more score. The Storm in the Sky. That one's 33-31. That one's in the late stages of the second quarter. So that's the WNBA. Baseball right now, we got the Red Sox beating the Orioles 4-3, top of the eighth. Cardinals beating the Reds 6-1, top of the eighth. The A's are beating the Rays 3-0, bottom of the seventh. Nationals and Braves, bottom of the sixth, scoreless. Earlier today, the Dodgers beat the Mets 5-2 in final 10 innings. They snapped their 5-game losing streak. Right now, they're playing a doubleheader, and they're up 2-0 on the bottom of the fourth in New York. Let's talk about the Dodgers real quick here. How surprised were you that they were on a losing streak with the way they've been playing? I mean, with all the attention they got on free agency, I mean, how surprised were you that they actually went on a 4-game losing streak?
Yeah, it was kind of shocking. Nobody expected it. It was out of nowhere. It was at a pretty much a homestand. Then the homestand turned into an away stand. Well, pretty much half of the games they lost at home, which was bad. But now I think the post game. So they were supposed to play yesterday, but it was postponed due to a rain delay. I think that little extra day of rest is gonna help them now that they came out on top for game one and won that one, and now they're up 2-0 at New York. So I think they come back and sweep them, and they'll go back to the rhythm.
I'll tell you this, I bet you I think they played out of anger. I mean, when they found out that they couldn't play yesterday, I mean, I think they were off, and I think they were because of the losing streak. I mean, you look at Shohei Ohtani, he was struggling. The Dodgers in that series against the Reds, I mean, it was just bad. They struggled when men in scoring position, they couldn't get anyone in. I mean, if you can't drive in runs when you got guys on base, that's a serious problem. And during that losing streak, especially that last series against the Reds at home, they were struggling trying to get guys on plate. And that was very shocking, especially for a team that spent millions and millions to get this roster built up. I mean, I probably would find problems with it because you're spending a lot of money in his offense, and his offense wasn't producing. I mean, you're gonna have to go back and ask yourself, did I make the right decision? Did I bring the right guys here?
Yeah, they'll be all right though. They have a great lineup, a dangerous lineup from bottom to top. Their pitching was kind of struggling. Their bullpen gave up a couple. No, it was pretty much their starting pitching that was struggling. And their offensive bats were lacking. They weren't waking up at all in that Red Series, which could be as worried at times, but not right now since it's still the beginning of the season. I think you'll be more worried when it's at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's true. Long season. You're totally right. 162 game season. But again, when there's a lot of hype here, I mean, when you have hypes, that's the bad thing. You're expected to win almost every game or score every run.
Yeah, 100%. It's just like the Yankees. They have a great record. Everybody expects them to be on top. Everybody expects the Yankees and Dodgers to be on top of this league as of right now, but Phillies and Yankees pretty much have the same record. The same record going into today's game. And you can't forget those Guardians, man. They've been on a win streak. They won their last 9 out of 1, which is pretty they're underrated in this league. Which they come out of the American League Central with the Royals and second place. They have a nice record. Then the Angels.
Yeah, speaking of Cleveland, they're playing Colorado at 0-0. They just barely started. Other scores right now, the Cubs are leading the Brewers 1-0, bottom of the fifth. Twins are beating the Royals 2-0, bottom of the fourth. Blue Jays and White Sox 1-0, top second. Toronto winning. D-backs and Rangers 2-0, bottom of the third. Arizona's up. Games that are coming up later today, there's a lot. There's a couple games. We got 4 games coming up later today. The Astros and Mariners at 6:40 in Seattle. The Marlins are in San Diego at 6:40. The Phillies and Giants at 6:45. And the Yankees are in town taking on the Angels at 6:38 here in Anaheim. So big matchups tonight, especially with the Yankees in town.
Yeah, for sure. Sellout crowds for sure. And a lot of Marlins East Coast team coming to the West. Yeah, there's 2 East Coast teams coming to the West. No, 3. Yeah, pretty much 3 East Coast teams visiting the West, and those are pretty much the night games for today.
And I saw the Angels over the weekend, and they could have won a couple games against the Guardians. There were close games. How surprised that the Angels were able to keep up? Like, was it because is this like the Angels that are trying their best, or did Cleveland kind of have like a off few days, even though they won?
No, I think the Angels are doing it on purpose. As you can see, their splits from the away record and the home record. The away record, they have a 500 average, I believe, and the home record is just terrible. I think it's like a little the players. You could say that the players are not trying their best at home, but it's hard, especially when you have more fans from away teams coming to your stadium and the organization is struggling. Even though those players have been going off lately, but mostly it's, if you see stats and everything, mostly it's in the away games than the home games. And the home games, we blow a lot of bullpen, and we blow a lot of saves. We could have kept up on 2 of those games, but the bullpen gave up one game, and the other game we just couldn't get no offensive runs in at all.
Yeah, and the Angels are in a playoff drought, the longest in franchise history. 10 years since they last made the playoffs. Last time they made the playoffs was in 2014. That was when they won the AL West, but they got swept by the Royals in the first round of the playoffs. They have not made the playoffs since. You wonder now with Mike Trout out again with another injury, you wonder now if it's time to kind of rebuild and maybe make a transaction for Mike Trout. Do you believe maybe his days are done here in Anaheim/Los Angeles?
I was seeing that, but it's hard to see him get traded while he's still injured, But I could see him at the same time being super loyal, which is looking like it so far. But if not, it's gonna be a tough situation. But I'll say we should let him go and get great young prospects into our team and just start rebuilding from square one.
Well, this team's been on a rebuilding path since 2014. You look at the contracts that they had over the past 10 years. As you know more about the past 20 years. No, I'm going to take that back. 15 years. You talk about the players they brought in. They brought in Josh Hamilton. They brought in Albert Pujols. They spent a lot of money on batting and a little bit less on pitching. And in that span where they had Josh Hamilton and Albert Pujols and Mike Trout, that big 3, they only had one playoff run, and that was in 2014. This team missed the playoffs like every year except that year. So how bad of a mistake it was to invest in these players.
I think there were horrible contracts. The Josh Hamilton one was, yeah, he was great with the Texas Rangers, but there was rumors about what happened. He was dealing with drug addiction, so that one turned into a bad contract. And the Albert Pujols contract was, I think, in my opinion, horrible as well. That was a lot of money, and it was at the end of his career, as you could see. Yeah, the first couple of years he did play the most games, but after that, it started slowly discontinuing. As you've seen, we traded him in the middle of the season without even letting him know. That's how you know this organization is bad, and the contracts and everything pretty much else falls into place. All how bad it's been since 2014.
Well, let me ask you this: like, do the Angels need to clean house and just pretty much fire everyone and start over? Artie Moreno needs to sell the team. What's the first things that need to be done? Because I think they need to clear the house, the general managers and everybody. I think you should bring in a new owner. You should bring in a new chairman and whatever. Bring in new rebuild. I mean, because at some point the fan base, it's gonna start dropping. I mean, right now the fan base is kind of up there, but when you got teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers, other good East Coast teams coming down here that they hardly come down here. I mean, those probably will be the only time you see the stadiums packed. But lately, in the last 3 years, it wasn't. I mean, attendance has been up there, and then attendance has dropped. So, um, the last time I went to a game was last year, I believe. I think it was against Seattle. I did get to see Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, but I just think that if you clear out the personnel and bring in a new team and then just rebuild everything from the bottom up, yeah, it's gonna take years because right now I don't know what they're trying to do. We know last year they got off to a good start. They went out to a 27-13 start. Then they just kind of like dropped dead and everything just blew up. This season they got off to a bad start, started winning a little bit. And yeah, and I'm going to go with your point. I agree with you because they are winning on the road. There were some series they clinched on the road against home games. So this team's probably better off playing on the road. So, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, there's still tickets available for this game if you guys want to go tonight. It's going to be at Angel Stadium. Looks like it's the pitching will be Canning for the Angels and then Cortez for the Yankees. Canning has a 2-4 record, ERA over 5. Cortez has a 3-4 record. His ERA is about under 330, 329. So I mean, it's gonna be let's see which one of them can get their season going tonight.
Yeah, I think Artie Moreno will sell the team is the first thing to do ASAP. And this Angels Yankee series, they're always fun to watch when they come to town. Angels for some reason always try a little bit harder versus that team because I remember that team. We have a lot of history versus each other, playing each other competitively. So I think we take one out of the 3 games of the series for sure. But I don't think today Griffin Canning he's been struggling this year. Those big bats of the Yankees in Angel Stadium, and there's a little bit of wind outside that might carry the ball, so it's gonna be a lot of home runs. But yeah, partner, that's the life of an Angel fan. Us.
Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to some other news. This one I don't know whether to laugh or cry or what the hell to think. So you know about the Raiders, right?
Yes.
And I think you told me this the other day. So 70-year-old Mark Davis of the Raiders, the owner.
Oh no.
You know what I'm talking about? Mark Davis of the Raiders. The Raiders. So yeah, they played a prank on him. Can you believe
Yeah.
that? So there was a report that came out yesterday, and it said that his 26-year-old, I guess, girlfriend is supposedly pregnant. I guess that came out, and then I guess it was confirmed that the story was fake. So I mean, when I saw that, I was like, "Holy smokes, man! Is this for real?" Like when I heard that, you know what the first thought that was on my mind? I was like, "Man, it's like one of those stories that you hear when you watch Maury." And I mean, I mean, let me ask you: have you ever seen Maury before? Maury show?
Yeah.
You know, like when they do their they do their paternity tests and stuff like that. When I saw that, I was like, "What?"
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Like this, believe me. That was my first thought when I heard that story. Like, no way. But at least it was a fake story, so that's a good thing. You
Yeah,
know,
that's only good news about that.
I'd just like to know who was it that leaked it out in the beginning because I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, the reporter must have been killing himself.
Yeah, I know. So I mean, that was
Hey, what the? So I just seen a picture of Stetson Bennett is back practicing with the Rams after his
yeah,
absence last year.
yeah. So we're actually getting close to training camp. I believe we're um about 54, 53 days away from. Here's the thing: we're about 53 days. Actually, let
No,
me
100 days from the NFL.
from what? So we're about we're 52 days from training camp.
No, we're 100 days away from.
So we're less than 100 days from the NFL season. Um, we're actually 52 days away from the release of the 25 college football game for EA Sports. I think that's the first college game released in a long time. And then we're about less than 80 days from the start of preseason. And some interesting news out of Houston too, some good news. So Tank Dell has returned to the team following a shooting incident that happened in the off season, and you know some of us saw him out on the field on OTAs, and he's in good shape. He looked like he's in good shape.
Yeah, he should. Tank. You said Tank Dell?
Yeah, that's what my card says here. Unless I
Yeah, Tank. Yeah, Tank Dell came back a couple weeks ago already playing in practice, but the Texans pretty much signed Nico Collins, which is their other wide receiver rookie, to a 3-year extension, paying him around 24 million a year. The Texans are my second go-to team, man. They're pretty. I just love what they did last season. They remind me of like Rams. It's like an underdog,
Yeah,
underdog
they
team.
actually they won the AFC South on the last day of the regular season. They beat the Colts, and it was a winner go home game. They won that game, and then they won the playoff game against Cleveland before falling, I believe, in the division round. I believe they played Kansas City or Cincinnati or Buffalo was one of the teams, but I believe it was Kansas City. Um, but oh no, actually it was Baltimore. I think I want to say Baltimore. It was the Baltimore Ravens. But the Rams, how about the running back situation? So Blake Corum, he got to wear the NFL gear for the first time, and he might make a presence on the field right now with the Williams injury.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors going around, news that he's gonna be a key to our rip.
Yeah, it's going to be key to that rookie campaign. And Sean McVay said that Williams will not participate in OTAs due to a toe injury. He didn't specify how serious it is. He said it's not that serious, but again, we don't know. We'll just have to wait till the training camp starts. But I mean, there could be a battle for the second running backs position.
Yeah, for sure, but I see Blake Corum being the main guy. Then, of course, Williams. But I could see a little mixed match, 50-50. Not a little too much front load on Kyrus Williams' plate, but, a little bit enough for everybody to contribute. And you mentioned earlier about the EA Sports game. So this year there's 25 based tier system that includes that the colleges are gonna be paying so EA Sports is paying colleges for the game they're in. What you think about that? But it's based off tiers, you know how Alabama's popular, Ohio State. That's tier 1. They get 99 million. Then the tier 4 teams like Duke in the NFL, Ohio, Montana, who are tier 5, they only get $9,987. It's crazy. But popularity tells, especially in college football.
Yeah, I mean, college is expensive, and I think getting this would be a good thing. But then again, there's always an opposition party on it when it comes to college players getting money. So I think it's maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing. We don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I'm actually psyched up for the start of the NFL season. It's just right around the corner. The training camp will start, and again, I'm very excited for it. First, I'm excited to see Aaron Rodgers come back. And then I want to see how the Rams will do this season. There's hype about Jim Harbaugh. There's a hype up about the Chiefs, about possibly winning 3 straight, a dynasty. You don't see that in football. I think the NFL is the hardest sport to repeat, especially with the way the business is.
Football wise is like the hardest to repeat back-to-back championships, right? Or
Well, I mean,
that's what you meant?
prior to Kansas City, the last team to repeat was the Patriots. That was back in
Tom Brady.
03-04.
Yeah. That's super difficult. That's why you gotta give them their props, Mahomes, the Mahomes effect, which many people say the Mahomes effect, or the Mahomes effect, the Tom Brady effect, the Mahomes, Tom Brady of this generation. A little bit of everything. But the Rams are supposed to win their Super Bowl in the next upcoming year, so I'm excited about that one.
Yeah, and we do have football, which is the United Football League. It's in its final week of the season. Coming up this weekend, we have the Panthers taking on the Birmingham Stallions. We have the San Antonio Brahmas against the St. Louis Battlehawks. Those are the 2 top teams in the league. We got the Renegades against Defenders on Sunday. And then the last game of the season will be Houston against Memphis. The conference championships are set. In the UFL, it'll be the Stallions versus the Panthers, Michigan. That'll be Saturday, June 8th. And then Sunday, June 9th, is the XFL championship. between the San Antonio Brahmas and the St. Louis Battlehawks. That'll be at 7 o'clock Eastern time on Sunday, June 9th. And then the inaugural UFL title game will be on Sunday, June 16th in St. Louis at where the Blackhawks play. So, we're at the end of the inaugural UFL / XFL. There's no undefeated team too. So, and I mentioned this in the previous episode that there are talks to expand to a 10-team league. That's still in talks. And then they're debating how to start next season. They don't know what month they're going to start, but I mean, what's your take on the how this inaugural season's gone?
Yeah, it's been good for the first year coming back, especially after that halt of the COVID season, which stopped operations and new owners and a little bit of everything. So yeah, it's gonna be great for the first ever UFL championship in St. Louis, which is a great location, especially with the sellout crowds and strong fans that believe in the football culture. I could see the St. Louis Battlehawks winning on Saturday, June 1st. Then they'll be facing the Brigham Stallions, if I'm correct. Then the other teams I haven't really paid attention to them, but I've been more on the San Antonio Brigham side. But overall, I like what they're doing. I think they should continue with the league, which they are. They still haven't come out with their schedule, but like I mentioned before, I think if they get a couple great names that used to play in the NFL or NFL players that go to the UFL, that'd be insane. Which I could see it going, but only time will tell. So far, so good. So good. Who's your team that you got taking it this year?
I might have to say St. Louis because I mean that's the most popular
Hey,
team
Coffee
in
Cutter.
the whole league because they got a fan base. Their fan base is higher than when the St. Louis Rams were there. So I mean I think that's the one team that could win it.
No, they never had the Rams were good. They even though the Rams were bad, they still had their fans there. I
Yeah, but
remember Trevor.
when you look at the fan attendance between the Rams and the Blackhawks have them beat. You know, especially with the last 15 years when they were in St. Louis. Um, that's gonna
Yeah, it
be
makes sense.
so let's see how that goes. But
But
we're gonna go ahead and talk
but
about
I want to
Drake.
see a UFL team in LA though. I want
Yeah,
that.
I mean that's gonna be hard to do. I mean I don't know if that's even possible because with the Rams and Chargers here, they don't. I mean I don't know. You want to throw in an XFL team here? I mean, is it gonna be popular? I mean, they brought LA. They brought the Arena Football had the LA Avengers. They were okay. Then Gene Simmons comes and brings the LA Kiss. They folded. So I mean, I don't know. It's hard to tell. We'll see if they're able to do that. Then that'd be a good thing.
Yeah, you're right. It's gonna be tough one. But I wanted to tell you about how we were talking about the NFL right now. I have a little sheet right here about the last time the teams that won their division, and the last teams that I have here on the chart was the 1989 Browns and the 2002 Raiders and Jets. That pretty much tells you the organization they've been the last 20 years. But the Jets are going to turn into a championship contender in 2024.
That's if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy.
He is. He was already healthy last year in week 11, in which he could have came back.
Yeah, that's true. So we're going to talk about racing now. So on Sunday, NASCAR had their long race of the season, the Memorial Day tradition, Coca-Cola 600 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. I believe they call it Lowe's Motor Speedway. The race ended early, and Christopher Bell was awarded the victory. Many people didn't like the race, but I'm going to tell you what happened. So this is the longest race of the season. It's 400 laps and 600 miles. It's about a 4 hour, maybe a 5 hour race, depending on the accidents. When he got to lap 250, it was already close to 11 o'clock Eastern time. Yeah, I know we don't work the next day. A lot of people were off. There was no school. But, the thing is, there was a delay in the beginning. So, the race started late. I mean, it's just one of those times where it happens where rain comes out of nowhere. And they had a minor rainstorm. So they had to, sometimes it took a long time to dry the track. Normally, on an average time, it takes 2 hours to dry the racetrack. So after about 250 laps, they decided to call the race, and they declared Bell the winner. He was first place when the race stopped, so he was awarded the victory. Some people may call it a cheap victory, but to me, it's more of a being at the right place at the right time. Now, why did NASCAR call the race you know, if there was still half left? According to NASCAR rules, anytime a race is past halfway and the race cannot be continued, whether to anything that involves the condition of the track or the weather permitting, anytime a race is past halfway and NASCAR cannot determine if it can continue or not, then they have the right to declare the race official after halfway and declare the leader the winner. It was going to take a while to dry the track. When they were giving their interviews, it was already 10 o'clock, 10:30, almost 11. By the time they went back out to finish the race, it was going to be about 1 o'clock in the morning when they were going to resume racing. So NASCAR decided, you know what, no, we're not going to be here all night. We're just going to call the race. It's halfway. Luckily, it was halfway. Otherwise, they had to finish the race the next day. So I know you were texting me that night. You said that race sucked. Well, that's the reason why. I mean, it was a long race. They just couldn't finish it on the same night, partner. Unless you want to camp out there all night at the racetrack.
They should have raced the next day, which many people fans still, not just myself, but many NASCAR fans said, especially coming out of that high trending week of that fight. And I think a lot of fans was expecting more here, but it happened. Whatever happened. Weather conditions. But it would have been great to see them the next day on Memorial Day race as well. But rules are rules.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. To be honest, I think the race should be moved to Monday now because now, you don't know what's going to happen with Sunday. I think it's best that you race on Memorial. I know it's Memorial Day weekend, but I think maybe it feels more traditional if you race on Memorial Day. I mean, that's just how I see it. I mean, because people are working, people are in school. You probably have a higher rating. I mean, I just think NASCAR could change to Monday.
They have it on Sunday for that same reason, so they could race the next day. But supposedly they're already halfway through. So
yeah, that's the rules, partner. When it's halfway, they can declare the race official. Now, it was 400 laps, so the halfway mark was 250. They already hit 250. I think it was 251, 252. It was already halfway, so there was no point in holding off to finish the other half. Now, if it was before the 250, then yeah, they would have to race the next day because it's not past halfway. So that's the key thing. Once it goes halfway, that's it. The race can be declared official if it can't continue. And we've seen a lot of racers win the race on short-term races. So, I mean, overall, I don't think it was you're right. I agree with you. Everyone was hyped up about the fight that happened at the All-Star race. We thought we were going to see some sort of a retaliation or an escalation, but we didn't. So, I guess that was disappointing. So we'll just have to move on. And I don't think that retaliation thing, and I don't think this rivalry is going to be big anymore. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. But Kyle Larson actually made that race. He raced in the Indy 500. Look, the Indy 500 was more exciting. They had rain. Believe it or not, there was a weather delay to start the Indy 500. And, that race started late. So then when word got out about it, the call went to Hendrick, and they were aware that Kyle Larson wasn't going to make the race on time. So they actually had a backup driver just to be lucky. How lucky is that?
Yeah, the privileges right there.
Yes, it just shows them, I wonder if this I wonder if this incident is going to make NASCAR drivers think twice about doing double headers, especially when you got to go from like a big race to the other one. I love the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. NASCAR runs a race there every year. But in the last 20 years, and tennis has gone down in NASCAR. But when you watch the Indy 500, man, like the grandstands is packed to the core.
Yes, I think Indy is more with the F1, but F1 has been insane in popularity. Especially, I think F1 took over Indy and the Coca-Cola series just by itself, especially after that crash. So that F1, especially in Monaco, which is a special little city by the beach, which is insane for F1. To go 200 miles per hour in the small streets like that.
Yeah, they're going on city streets now. I mean, we have it here in Long Beach. I believe they did one in Chicago. So, motorsports is changing. And so we're just going to have to see how that goes. And then we did get some.
I had a quick question. Did any of those Indy car race players that raced yesterday came to Long Beach?
Yeah, I mean, they were here in April, a lot of them.
For real?
Yeah, it was pretty cool, Now, I wasn't able to meet them because I was doing some obligations for Long Beach City College, but, it's a pretty good thing though. So I can't wait for the Grand Prix to come back next year. But we do have some other news in the world of racing. So you know who Tony Stewart is, right?
Yes.
So Tony Stewart announced today. Well, Tony Stewart is the part owner of an organization called Stewart-Haas Racing. He formed this organization with Gene Haas in 2009, and he was a driver and an owner. He brought home a championship in 2011 for Stewart-Haas in NASCAR. Earlier today, the organization made an announcement saying that at the end of this season, it's shutting down its NASCAR teams effective at the end of this season. So they have about 3 cars racing for Stewart-Haas right now in NASCAR. But today they made the announcement saying that they're going to pull the plug in NASCAR at the end of the season. This team's been around for more than 10 years, 69 Cup victories, the championship in 2011. And then this was more of forthcoming because there were some outside rumors about Stewart-Haas selling the teams. They were looking to sell the charters and kind of like leave NASCAR completely. But I guess they decided to go in this direction and just announce, hey, we're going to pull the plug in NASCAR. According to a statement by Stewart-Haas Racing, and I'll read it fully, quote, it is a decision that did not come easily, nor was it made quickly. Racing is a labor-intensive, humbling sport. It requires unwavering commitment and vast resources with a 365-day mindset to be better than everyone else. It's part of what makes success so rewarding. But the commitment needed to extract maximum performance while providing sustainability is incredibly demanding. And we reach a point in our respective personal and business lives where it's time to pass the torch. So basically, I guess sounds that's it's been hard for them. And it's true, in racing, it's a commitment. It's a 365-day operation. You got to get the cars ready for the season. You got to go out and test the cars. You got to build the cars. You got to build the damaged cars. You got to build and test, get data. I mean, it's a livelihood. But based on the performance of Stewart-Haas Racing this year, I believe they decided it was time to just pull the plug. I mean, they got young guns. There's been veterans that was racing there. Tony Stewart was a founder. He won a championship in 2011. They brought in Kevin Harvick in 2014. He won a championship for Stewart-Haas Racing. They brought in Kurt Busch. He won a couple races with them. So the veteran momentum is kind of like what kind of synced this team with the rookies they have now with the young guns. So it's been so Stuart Haas will still be around, but not in NASCAR. Which basically, I mean, is it true that it's a commitment? Yeah, it is. Because look what they have to do. And partner, I don't know if you ever been to these, but you should check out the race shops. It's pretty freaking awesome.
Not the race shop. Never been into the race shop or NASCAR. Never been before.
So that's going to be the that's the sad news right there out of NASCAR that the Stuart Haas is going to shut down the NASCAR stock car racing. So we'll see what they'll be able to do or what's going to happen with the contract of the current drivers. So we'll just have to wait and see how that goes.
Would NASCAR ever go international, or is that even possible?
It's going to be impossible because of the race schedules. It's a 36 race schedule. I think it's hard to throw in extra races. I just don't see it happening.
36 races a year?
Yep.
Every what? Week?
They race every week. They get, off weeks, but it's like a 6-month gruesome to the finish. Actually, no, it's about a 9-month season. You go from February all the way to November. That's about 9 months.
Damn, yeah, never mind. Yeah, it's too much.
That's 9 months of traveling to the shops. I mean, even the family members kind of go on these trips because they don't see their family members much. They don't see their fathers a lot. Now, before we wrap up, we're going to give you one final run of the scores. The Rangers are still leading 1-0 in the second period. In the NBA, the Timberwolves hold a 4-point lead on the Mavs. They need this to stay alive and force a Game 5 in Minnesota. The Storm and Sky are playing right now, 58-50. That's 2:06 left in the third. Finals now. The Sun beat the Mercury 70-47. Your Los Angeles Sparks beat the Fever 88-82. In baseball, Braves lead the Nationals 2-0 in the top of the ninth. Dodgers are up 3-0. Top of the seventh in the second game of that doubleheader. Cubs and Brewers are up 1-0. Cubs are up 1-0 on the Brewers top 7. Twins are up 3-2 bottom 6. Blue Jays are leading the White Sox 3-1 bottom 4. Rangers have taken the lead 4-2 over the Diamondbacks top of the 6th. The Guardians are up 2-0 top of the 3rd. And again, the Red Sox beat the Orioles 8-3. Cardinals beat the Reds 7-1. Again, earlier today, the Dodgers beat the Mets 5-2 in Game 1. They're playing Game 2. Athletics beat the Rays 3-0. Don't forget, tonight the Angels are playing the Yankees at the Big A. Game starts at 6:38 first pitch. And partner, do you have any final thoughts as we wrap up another podcast episode here?
I just gotta love about the topics we talked about today. Just we're coming down to the wire in the NBA finals, NHL as well. So pretty much the next sport coming up is football.
It's gonna be just baseball and racing until football starts.
Yeah, baseball and racing till football starts. Okay.
Yeah,
We'll work with that.
Yeah, and then stay with Sports Talk because we are going to be previewing and then recapping the NBA Finals once it starts. Final starts June 6th, I believe.
Yeah, and should we do an episode for every game? I mean, or
we'll talk about that. But stay with us for exclusive home.
Yeah, sure. Don't forget to like, view, subscribe, share. Keep sharing with everybody, your friends, family. Appreciate everybody. Thanks once again, Edward. Sports Talk with Ed, exclusive, one time.
Yeah, we do want to thank you guys. And again, we'll be back again this week. If you've missed the live stream, we're going to be on it'll be a replay. You can catch us on Podbean, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. We want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all of you who have helped us reach 500 views. Let's try to go for the 1,000. That's going to be our next goal. Again, thank you guys, and a happy Tuesday, and we'll see you next time here on Sports Talk.